Hi, writers! Thank you so much for joining me again on today's episode of Write With Me. So last time I saw you, we were doing some work in our writer's notebook. We did a new entry about our dream birthday parties. And the great thing about having a writer's notebook, you guys, is that you can write whatever you want. So today I invite you to write along with me. Maybe you want to use this time today to write some more lists in the rest of your writer's notebook. And I definitely encourage you to do that if you feel like doing that today. But what I want to show you today is how I take an idea from my writer's notebook and I turn it into its own book. I literally take the story out of my writer's notebook and I put it in a book of its own. So let me show you what I mean. So I want to go through my writer's notebook and kind of look for an idea that inspires me for a story that I would like to write today. Maybe I want to write a pretend story all about my dream birthday party. I could totally do that. But do you remember when I was making the list of all the people in my family? I have my husband, Mr. Coin, my daughter Elena, and then I told you about my dog Rooster. And the problem with Rooster is that he loves skunks and he loves to chase them. And that often ends up with him getting sprayed by skunks. So I think I'd like to take that idea and write about one of the times that Rooster got skunked. So let me show you how I do that. So I have my idea. I want to write about my dog Rooster being skunked. So I am just going to stick my writer's notebook over here. Now, if you want to write your story in your writer's notebook, go for it, writers. You can write your story wherever you want to. But I want to show you another option about how I create a book. So I just have a stack here of plain white paper. Maybe you have lined paper. Maybe you have some fancy writing paper that your teacher gave you. All of that works great. But let me show you how you can turn just regular old white paper into a book. So let's see. I want to first plan out how my story is going to go. Now, this is a true story. This actually happened. Rooster's actually been sprayed by a skunk 7 times, but the time that I want to write about today is about one time when my family and I were sitting at the dinner table and my husband noticed Rooster was getting into trouble outside with a skunk. And I tried to save Rooster and it did not go so well. So let me first plan out how my story is going to go before I even write anything down. So let's see. Okay, the first thing that happened. Oh, right. So my family and I were sitting at the kitchen table and we were eating dinner. Mr. Coin looked out the window and he said, "What is Rooster doing?" So let's see, this is going to be page 1 of my story. Okay. Then what happened next? Next, we all ran to the window and we looked out and we saw Rooster was following a skunk. He wasn't chasing the skunk. He wasn't moving very fast, but he was following it right behind the skunk. Ugh. So let me think what happened after that. Oh, so I threw on my boots and I ran out the door to try to catch Rooster, but it was too late, you guys. The skunk sprayed Rooster right there in front of my eyes. Ugh. It was pretty gross. So then the last thing that happened was I had to give Rooster a bath. There was nothing left for me to do but just give him a bath. So I gave him a bath and the entire time I had to hold my nose because he stunk so badly. Okay, cool. So I have my story planned out. I have all my pages numbered. I have a plan of how my story is going to go, how it went first, what happened next, and then after that, and then what happened last. Now, I could sit down and write this whole story with you right now. And if you feel like writing a whole story from beginning to end, go for it. This is your writing time, so however you want to use it, go for it. But I also know that you are pretty busy people. I'm a busy person. There's a lot going on right now. And so I think what we'll do today together is I'll show you how I draw out my story. And then tomorrow we'll come back and add the words together. How does that sound? So as you can tell, I'll start with my first page, right? Because writers always start with what happened first in their stories in general. And so obviously my page is blank. Writers have room for pictures and for words. So I'm gonna just really draw for myself, guys, a part where I can draw. Nothing fancy. And what happened first? Oh yeah, I was sitting at the kitchen table with my family. So here we are at the kitchen table. Well, I probably need a floor, huh? So we don't float away. And there's my husband. And if you want to go back and color in your pictures too, you guys, go for it. I'm not going to color any pictures in today, but if you feel like coloring in your pictures, go for it. That's awesome. So here I am, sitting at the table. We're eating dinner. Oh, and there's my daughter, Elena, sitting at the table, eating her food. Well, I'm not very good at drawing feet off the side, but I'll do my best. Doesn't have to be perfect. And there's our big window. And outside the window, there was Rooster the dog. And he looked like he was up to no good. There you see there's some grass outside. And Mike, I'll add a speech bubble. Mike said, "What is Rooster doing?" And I'll put a question mark because he asked a question. What is Rooster doing? Okay, so there's my picture for my first page. Did you draw a picture for your first page yet? What's happening first in your story? Awesome. And remember, if you're not writing your story right now with me, that's okay. Maybe you're just gathering your ideas, and then after you watch this video, then you want to plan out your story. That works too. All right, so here's my space for drawing. What happened next? Oh yeah, we all ran to the window and looked out, and we saw Rooster following a skunk. So let's see. I think the most important part is Rooster. There's Rooster with his fluffy tail. And he wasn't running. He wasn't like chasing the skunk or scaring it. He was just more like curious. Oh my gosh, how do we draw a skunk? Oh boy. I am definitely not the best at this, but I will try my best. They have little like ears and big, I know they have big fluffy tails, right? And then they have stripes, black and white stripes. Does that look like a skunk? Yeah, it's my best. It's okay if it's not perfect. And here's my family looking out the window. And our mouths were all like this. There's Mr. Coin looking out the window. Here's me looking out the window. And here's Elena looking out the window. I think we were all saying, "Oh no!" Okay, so then what happened next? Oh yeah, I ran outside. We draw a spot to draw. So I ran outside and I was yelling his name. I was yelling, "Rooster! Rooster! Come, Rooster!" There I am running. I'm going to draw some lines to that. I was running really fast, but it was too late. Rooster got sprayed by the skunk. Ugh. And I'm just going to show the back end of the skunk, his big fluffy tail, and the smell coming out. And it's stinky. P.U. Okay. The last page, guys. The end of my story. Do you remember what I had to do next? Yeah, there was nothing left to do but give Rooster a bath. So here's Rooster. And the thing about Rooster is he doesn't like baths very much. So I'm going to show him frowning. He hates baths. He likes to be brushed, but he doesn't like baths. So he's feeling kind of sad. And here I am. And I'm frowning too because he stinks. And I had to wear gloves to wash him. So I'm wearing gloves because I didn't want to touch him because he smelled so bad. I didn't want to smell bad either. And here's the hose, spraying water on him. And I said, pee you. You stink, Rooster. So if you were writing along with me, did you get to draw some of your pictures out? Awesome. And if you didn't write with me, are you thinking and you're kind of inspired about what you're going to write next? Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, so the next time I see you writers, I'm going to show you how I go back and add the words, and you're welcome to add some more words to your writing too. Bye, writers.